Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of the Holocaust. So, the question I want to ask you is, what can you do? Now, you might say to yourself, well, I'm only a little boy or a little girl. What difference can I make? Well, the truth is, you can make a lot of difference. If people had stood up and said things when the Nazis were doing the terrible things they were doing, perhaps the Holocaust would never have happened. And remember, the two people that we met right at the beginning of part one were saying, let's never forget. Let's always remember so that we can make a difference. Here's a little girl, her name's Edith. She was a little Jewish girl and she lived through the time when the Nazis were doing their most awful things. One day she got home from school and she went home, but her mum and dad weren't there. The neighbours had them and they took Edith there and looked after her as well. These kind neighbours hid Edith and her mum and dad from the Nazis. When it became too difficult to do this, they helped them to escape on a boat to another country. Much later, when Edith and her mum and dad returned to Germany after the Nazis were defeated, the neighbours had looked after their house for them and even rented it out. They'd stood up against the Nazis in the best way they could. Now we're going to look at a film clip from the film The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. This film clip shows the 3 or 4 boys running through the streets of Berlin just before the Nazis started doing their worst things. These little boys had been told all about Jews. Watch the clip and see what you think.
You don't want to get dysentery, do you? Dysentery. The worms. That's what you get from them. The leprosy. And there's something else you can get. What's it called? Rob. You mustn't go near them, Mum says. They're like rats.
So, you two.
So, watching that clip from The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, I wonder, what do the boys say about the Jewish man? Can you remember what they said? They said he was like a rat. They said you could catch a disease off him. They said he might rob them. Do you think that's true? Why do you think the boys think these things and said these things? They were just repeating what they'd heard, but it wasn't true, was it? We've got another clip that we're going to watch from the film now. In it, the little boy Bruno is the son of a Nazi officer. He has been taken with his father and the family to run a concentration camp. Now, Bruno's only a little boy, so he doesn't really know what's happening. His father is in charge of killing lots of Jews. Now, unbeknownst to his family, Bruno has become friends with a little Jewish boy called Shamil. Bruno has gone out of the back of his garden and found the fence of the concentration camp, and there he's met Shmuel. This bit of the film shows Bruno meeting Shmuel in the dining room of his own house. A Nazi officer has brought Shmuel, the little Jewish boy, back to the house to clean glasses. Let's see what happens.
doing it. They wanted some tiny fingers to clean all these. We're not supposed to be friends, you and me. We're meant to be enemies. Did you know that? Do you want some? What's your dad like? I don't know. Is he a good man? You've never thought he wasn't? And you're proud of him? And you're proud of yours? It's a really horrible winter.
How dare you talk to people in the house? How dare you? Are you eating? Have you been stealing food? Answer me!
He gave it to me. He's my friend.
What? Is he man? Do you know this Jew? Do you know this Jew?
No, I just walked in and he was helping himself. I've never seen him before in my life.
You. Finish cleaning the glasses. When I come back, we'll have a little chat about what happens to rats who steal. All right.
So I wonder what you thought about that. Why do you think Bruno tells a lie? Why do you think when he's friends with Shmuel, the little Jewish boy, he says that he doesn't know him? Why does he say that he didn't give him food? Bruno was just helping himself. Why do you think? How do you think Bruno feels afterwards? I wonder if you do things differently. When you're frightened and when everything's overwhelming all around you, it's very difficult to stand up and do what's right. It's worth thinking about that. If you want to, you can pause the video and have a little talk and a think, perhaps with your mum and your dad. Now, I've got some ideas for some activities that you might like to do. In Nazi Germany, Jewish people became a number and not a name. They were labelled, they were just Jews, and the word Jew meant something nasty. So I wonder if you'd like to make a label showing all the things that you are. You're lots of things, aren't you? You might be good at football, you might be good at dancing, you might be clever, you might be happy. Write all the things down that make you you on your label. And remember, nobody can ever take that away from you. That's who you are. You're a person. You're not just a label. And then the other thing I thought you could do is you could draw around your hand. You've got 5 fingers and a thumb altogether, 5. on each one, perhaps you can write down something that you could do to make a difference. Perhaps you could say, I'll always listen to other people. And even if they're different from me, I'll still remember to give them dignity. Perhaps you'll say, I'll always be kind. Perhaps you'll write on one of your fingers, I'll look out for others. And I'll speak out when I need to. I wonder if you can think of 5 things to write, one on each finger. I bet you can. Well, that finishes part 2, and it's been so good to see you all. I hope to see you again really soon. Thank you now.